Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. Today, guys, we are getting smarter around our foods. And what does it mean exactly? Guys, today I'll give you my best shortcut to healthy foods that you can use to buy and eat more healthier foods compared to less healthy food. And there is actually a very nice shortcut to healthier foods, how to identify, to find healthier foods when all the time you can hear, carbs are bad, fats are bad, certain kinds of fats are bad, or certain kinds of carbs are bad, and then we need more of certain kinds of fats or carbs. Or there are these, sweeteners that are good, and there are those that are not that good, or some fruit are better, some worse, and, meat is good, meat is bad, or plants are good or bad. There are so many things you can hear about foods that, make certain foods worse or better, good or bad. But at the end of the day, the purpose, well, not the purpose, but kind of the goal of any human being around food is to eat, to enjoy our food, but also through that act of eating food, support our health, our wellness, and that will translate into liking the way we look, because I personally believe, and I believe more and more in that every day, that the more health we have, the better we feel, the better we look also on the outside, and the more we like it. It just feels so damn good, and it looks so damn good also to be healthy. Anyhow, guys, with all these confusing diets and nutrition facts or theories, sometimes it seems like it's really hard to choose best food options these days, right? But again, there is a really nice and easy shortcut to understanding our foods. And we already started talking about that on Saturday with the report from United Nations and Food and Agriculture Organization run by or under United Nations. So what's that shortcut? Well, it's actually the way the food is processed. Not just me, but quite a lot of researchers notice that the less processed our food is, the more we seem to thrive when it comes to our health and wellness. And so it's only logical to start sorting our foods not by a certain nutrient like fat or carb, but by the way they're processed, because it seems that people or population groups or those tribes that still live kind of natural lifestyle, they didn't have all these problems that we are getting of those non-communicable diseases of lifestyle like diabetes or heart disease. Or even if they do get them sometimes, they are not, major, not mainstream. And nobody's definitely getting obese or obesity epidemics eating just foods that are least processed. And so again, it's only natural to start sorting our food supply by that, instead of trying to figure out what fats or carbs are good or bad and what new novel ingredients are okay and not okay to eat. Plus, it seems that the less our food processed, the easier it is for our body to maintain healthy metabolism, healthy blood sugar, healthy blood pressure, healthy digestion, healthy hunger levels. And we usually, when we eat the less processed foods, we are more in touch with our hunger and our needs, nutritional needs. Like sometimes, for example, I personally have that craving for like liver or mussels, foods that are specifically rich in certain nutrients. And my body knows where to get them now. And so whenever I might be missing maybe B vitamins or zinc or iron, my body tells me, okay, you are missing this, so let's eat this food. And this urge, it's really clear in my head, and that association between certain craving, certain nutrient, and certain food. But anyhow, guys, so how can you find healthier foods? How can you start eating healthier foods in a more simple way? And again, these foods also will help you to lose and maintain optimal weight, and also will help you to be really healthy and eat a really healthy diet without any complicated calculations or counts of carbs or certain kinds of fats. So I suggest you to use this traffic light system that I modified based on that United Nations report about the food groups based on the way they were processed. And so I created, again, a little bit more modified version of that, basing it on the experience that I also had that people who created that report might not had. And it also, this list will help you much, much better to maintain your optimal body weight. So traffic light system. So there are going to be green, yellow, and red foods. And as you might have guessed, green are the ones that we gotta eat more of, go green. Yellow are the ones that we should, they're still kind of fine, but we need a little bit more caution looking at them and consuming them. And then red ones are the ones that the less we have, the better we are. And also it goes to volume. So for example, green foods are the ones that we, by volume, need to have much more in our diets compared to yellow and red. So it's not just what foods are healthier and what are not so healthy, but also what foods are, in what amounts those foods need to be consumed. So green ones, more, yellow, less, red, even less or not at all. So green foods, I like to call them or simplify the definition of green foods: nothing added, nothing removed. So it basically means in nature we have foods, fruits, vegetable, nuts and seeds, beans, pulses, meat, poultry, dairy products, eggs. So nothing added, nothing removed. So if you take some dairy product, that nothing should be added to that, or nothing should be removed for it to be considered green food. If we go for cheese, then it is not actually green food, and there is a reason for that, guys. It's a very highly concentrated food source that need to be consumed in moderation. But anyhow, it's not green food, just what I'm trying to say, with addition of salt and other stuff usually. So green foods, unprocessed, unchanged, nothing added, nothing removed. Nuts and seeds, pulses, beans, meat, fish, shellfish, all of that. And then in this area of green foods, I have green minus foods. And those are still foods that where nothing was removed or added. Like, for example, green smoothie. You put your greens, you put your fruit, you blend it, and here you go, your green smoothie. Nothing added, nothing removed. But anything that is juiced, pureed, powdered, even though the source was originally whole food, nothing added, nothing removed, it's not the best for our hunger levels, for our metabolism, for our digestion. All foods are different, so they may have different effect. For example, nut butters. So nuts are green, nut butters are green minus. In nut butters, you're going to have more absorbable calories. It's going to be harder for us to check and to be in check, to be in tune with our hunger, with our satiety when we are eating more nut butters compared to nuts. It's easier to overeat, and So green are always better than green minus. And especially if you are trying to watch your weight or lose weight, or you're having troubles not to overeat, I would highly recommend you to stick to green foods cooked in some way that you prefer. So green foods, nothing added, nothing removed. Green minus, the ones that were highly modified, but still in a way that you can do it at home, like juicing or pureeing or powdering in food processor, right? So those are green and green minus. Then yellow foods are foods that are cooking ingredients, still all processed in natural way, nothing made in some scientific lab with some scientific name, assembled molecule by molecule, nothing hydrolyzed, hydrogenated, or anything like that. Still, most of the processes can be done outside of the factory, maybe at some home enterprise, right? So those, I'm talking about yellow foods. So here we can add salt, we can add some fats, we can, all natural, of course, we can add some sweeteners, natural, like different kinds of sugars or honey, or agave, or I don't know, any kind of natural syrup. But for those foods, yellow foods, exercise caution. Also here we're going to have canned foods with addition of salt usually. Sometimes there's other stuff. Here we're going to have vegetables in jars or canned beans, because usually you're going to have salt or sometimes sugar and sometimes some sort of fat added to that. The distinct feature of yellow foods is that there is something usually added to that, or those foods are culinary ingredients that you will not make a complete meal of, but you usually add for cooking. So for example, olive oil will be here, or coconut oil, or salt, or spices, or herbs. Again, any kinds of oils or fats, things, also bread will be here, because to make regular bread, we're going to add water, we're going to add flour, we're going to add salt, yeast, and we're going to bake it. So all the natural breads will be here. What else? Again, canned foods in different jars, canned vegetables, canned beans, all the cooking ingredients. But the main distinction, the feature of yellow foods are the ones, again, you cannot make a meal out of them, and there is something added to them. Sugar, salt, some sort of fat. And so based on your health goals, you would want to watch different aspects of those foods. Maybe you're watching added fats, or added sugars, or added salt. So those are the foods that are a little bit more modified compared to green, nothing added, nothing removed. In yellow foods, something can be removed, like, for example, olive or coconut oil. There is quite a lot removed from original whole foods, right? So those are yellow foods, with which we're going to consume less of them, although, distinction, the difference between canned tuna or fresh tuna, especially if there is only salt added, or sometimes no salt added, it's very tiny. So there is also a difference, but still, yellow foods, a little bit more modified, can be added natural salts, sugars, fats. But the difference between yellow and red foods are the ingredients. In red foods, you're going to have things you don't understand. That's where all the ingredients, like high fructose corn syrup, soy lecithin emulsifier, or some E240, or, those names of things that added to foods, flavorings, colorings, different sorts of preservatives. Those are things that you wouldn't add to your food at all. And they are usually made in a lab, they are made in a lab all the time, or by some industrial process that you cannot recreate at home. And they're not ancient foods that we are used to, like, for hundreds of years. Those, again, foods that with ingredients that you wouldn't understand. So let's say there is some cheese spread and natural cheese Parmigiano Reggiano. So Parmigiano Reggiano will be in yellow foods. So watch it, but it's totally fine to eat. Some cheese spread that has colorings, flavorings, preservatives, different ingredients, even if it has, like, let's say, some protein isolate. So that's not food. I mean, that is an ingredient. It's an industrial ingredient, and for some people, it's totally fine. But from health perspective and from all the data we have, it shouldn't be our food, like the food that we consider a part of our daily diet. It should be a thing that might be considered for certain purposes, for certain periods of times, like maybe if you're a professional athlete, that's some substance you might consider, but it is not food. And so in red foods, we have all this stuff, and of course, you have your regular, like, snacks and cookies, and but I want to emphasize that fact that even something that is a keto bar, but with some protein isolate, with some weird fiber substitution, with some sweetener that couldn't be done naturally, that is not also good food, or should not be a part of our diet. It's something that, we might have occasionally, but it's not food to eat regularly and to make our meals out of. So yeah, in red foods, we have all these Franken foods created by food industry. And you're actually gonna see more and more products coming out in this category with different kinds of ingredients. Some are called healthy or healthier, or like some miracle food made with this ingredient we've never heard as humanity. So here in red foods can to be consumed never or on rare occasions, or for specific purpose. Like, again, if you're an athlete and you're training like 6-8 hours a day, then highly processed, ultra processed protein powder might be a part of a solution for you, but probably not for your whole life, but only for the times when you need it for training. So red foods are like that. Rarely, on occasion, maybe with specific purpose when you understand what you're doing, but it's not something to consume as part of our daily meals for an average human being or more of our population. So let's recap. Traffic light system. Green, yellow, red foods. Green foods we want to make most of our meals of. That's where most of my food is, green. Yellow, and we need to eat as much as possible of those green foods. And then yellow foods are the ones to where we can exercise a little bit more caution and maybe watch some stuff like sugar or salt or certain kinds of added fats. And then red foods are the ones that should really be considered every time we eat them. Like, do we really need that weird cookie with tons of ingredients, or that vegan burger that has like 20 ingredients? Most of them are non-human. So red foods are those, on rare occasions or never. Nobody will miss red foods ever. So green foods, we further divide them into green foods and green minus. So green foods, nothing added, nothing removed. That's your shortcut. And that's what you want to eat more of. So here you have your vegetables, your fruit, your pulses, your meat, your fish, your unchanged dairy products, unchanged and whole. Here you have all of that green products that you make your meals out of. And then green minus are the ones that were a little bit more refined, but still completely whole, nothing added, nothing removed. Here you might have your green juice or not green. Here you might have your green smoothie or not green. Here you might have your nut butters. So all of this is going to be here in green minus. So these are also the foods that for people who might be watching their weight, trying to lose weight, or having troubles maintaining weight, I recommend to watch those green minus foods. And then yellow foods are the ones that have cooking ingredients in them, like our favorite olive oil or salt or some natural sweetener, like maybe honey or something like that. But also we have here all the foods that were slightly more modified, made out of green foods with addition with salt, some sweetener, and some fat usually, or things like fermentation, like different bacteria to ferment stuff, non-alcoholic fermentation, that's what they call it. So that's all yellow foods. And a lot of those foods are actually pretty good to add a little bit more of, like, again, canned tuna or canned salmon or canned sardines. They are actually probably just as good as green foods, but we still put them in that yellow category because they're a little bit more processed, and usually we have their added salt or sugar or both, or some sort of fat, like maybe olive oil. So you still will need to check the ingredients and maybe watch something in those foods. But a lot of those foods, they make our green food based meals much more fun and a lot of times much easier. Like sometimes if I don't want to cook some protein part of my meal, I just add canned sardines or tuna or salmon, and that makes it so much easier. So yellow foods, right? Exercise some caution and eat less than green foods, but still pretty good options out there. And then also, by the way, guys, I wanted to mention then that in green foods, we also have things like natural yogurts or kefirs, where we don't have added salt or sugars, but we do have yeast that ferment those foods, or maybe sauerkraut, if you didn't add any salt, although I don't know if you can actually make sauerkraut without salt, but any sort of fermentation where nothing was added but the bacteria will be here in that green food category. Also, frozen vegetables are going to be in green food category because nothing added, nothing removed. They were just frozen to preserve them for longer. Although probably I would put canned food without any addition in green foods too, because basically the can was used just to preserve the original thing. Yellow foods, we add ingredients, salt, sugar, fat, but it's still all natural. And then red foods, where we have industrially changed foods and ingredients. Everything that you don't understand on the ingredient list is here, and all the foods with those things are here too. And sometimes, guys, for example, you can see frozen vegetable mixes that have added preservatives from red foods. And well, if it's in that food and there's no way to separate them, that is going to be considered red food, even though it has all the vegetables. If it has some sauce with all the ingredients from red category, meaning some, flavor enhancers, additives, maybe sometimes even colorings, that's going to be red food. So get your vegetables, add your yellow cooking ingredients, and that's going to be much better option based on all the data we have so far and analyzing all the, other tribes and people who eat healthier and maintain really amazing health, body weight throughout their life. And here you go, guys. This is a shortcut for you to use green, yellow, red to buy healthier foods, to cook healthier foods, to eat healthier foods without having to count calories or carbs or fats or figuring out what are, fats, what fats are good or bad finally, can you make a decision already, right? Food scientists, nutritionists, it's been changing quite a lot, especially recently, and depending on who you're listening to or who is your to-go source, you might hear completely different things. So to simplify it for you, and based on actual data, meaningful data that we have, having analyzed all these different groups of people who lived before us, it seems that the less processed foods we have and weird industrial ingredients we have in our food supply in our daily meals, the better we feel and look. And I can tell you personally, that's exactly what's been happening to me. The more I eliminate those weird ingredients that never were in our food supply 100 years ago, the better I feel and the easier it is for me to feel full, not ever feel like binging or overeating on certain things. I just have this rule that I'm eating unprocessed, those green foods. And I also actually eliminated all the juices, nut butters, and different kinds of powdered whole foods because they also seem to not help me with my satiety levels and satiation from my meals and hunger, right? If you are one of those who have trouble stopping eating, then I would eliminate all these powdered, smoothied, juiced, extracted foods and stick as much as possible with cooked or fresh, sometimes green foods, nothing added, nothing removed, nothing altered, plus adding some cooking ingredients like herbs, spices, olive, coconut oil, some salt. Yeah, guys, use it. Base your meals on that. Check out also our episodes on plate rule that will help you to assemble plate that will increase nutrient density or the amount of different vitamins and minerals you are eating from your foods, and that will ensure help you to make sure that you are eating all the nutrients you might need as much as possible, and will help you to stay satiated and feel full with your meals. So check out the plate rule episode. I'm gonna link one or two of those because I did a couple of those, I think, on the plate rule. Use traffic light system to help you navigate our confusing food system. Also, maybe re-listen or share this episode with somebody who's in your household, who also maybe does shopping for you or for the whole household. So give them a listen, help them also to understand better how to choose better and healthier foods. Again, in our confusing food environment, don't just use discounts or prices as your guide. That's never a good idea for our health. But also, if you don't have the time or your other half, you don't have the time to read all the ingredient labels and understand all of this, just use this traffic light system shortcut. Green, nothing added, nothing removed. Yellow ones where we have cooking ingredients, all natural still, things that you actually understand with the addition of some salt, sweetener, and fat. And then red foods, the ones that, you don't understand any ingredient that's on there. So leave it alone. And also understand that a lot of fitness products are in this category too. They are highly processed ingredients that are okay in moderation and sometimes when we don't have other options, but should not be our main options for our meals. That's it, guys. I'm gonna stop talking and let you go. Re-listen to this episode if you need to understand it a little bit better, to remember it better, share it. And guys, as usual, have fun shopping and eat better daily.